The day they gave me back, I was 16 and sitting in a sterile hospital room, staring at the 4 drip like it was counting down the seconds until my life imploded again. The diagnosis had come that morning, type 1 diabetes. Not rare, not dramatic, just a lifelong thing that meant insulin, monitors, carb counting, the works. The doctor was kind, explaining it all like it was no big deal, just a new routine. My adoptive mom, Karen, sat beside me twisting a tissue into knots. My adoptive dad, Mark, stood by the window, arms crossed, staring out at the parking lot like he wished he was already in it. They'd adopted me at 8, after I'd bounced through 4 foster homes in 3 years. Karen had cried when the judge finalized it, promised I'd never have to leave again. Mark had shaken my hand like I was an adult and said, "Welcome to the family, kid." They weren't perfect, strict curfews, church every Sunday, arguments about money that got louder when they thought I was asleep. But they were mine, or so I thought. That afternoon, back home, they sat me down at the kitchen table. The same one where we'd done homework and eaten birthday cake. Karen's eyes were red. Mark did the talking. "It's not that we don't love you, Mia," he said, voice flat like he was reading from a script. "But this diabetes. The specialists, the supplies, the hospital stays. It could bankrupt us. We have to think about our future. Retirement. College funds if we have bio kids someday." I waited for the punchline. The "we'll figure it out." It never came. Karen slid papers across the table. Termination of parental rights. Voluntary. They were returning me to the system. "It's for the best," she whispered. "Foster care has resources for medical needs. Better insurance. You'll be taken care of." I laughed. Couldn't help it. Sharp, ugly sound that made Karen flinch. Taken care of? I'd been taken care of before. Group homes where the older kids stole your stuff. Foster dads who looked too long. Caseworkers with caseloads bigger than their hearts. At 8, I'd been small and cute enough for adoption. At 16, with a chronic illness? I knew what came next. Aging out, scraping by statistics. I signed where they pointed. What choice did I have? They drove me to the county office themselves. Karen hugged me goodbye in the parking lot. Quick, awkward, like I was contagious. Mark shook my hand again. "Good luck, Mia." Then they left. Tires crunching gravel, taillights disappearing. I stood there with my backpack and a plastic bag of clothes until a social worker came out, sighing like I was just another Tuesday. Her name was Denise. She'd been my worker before the adoption. "I'm sorry, kid," she said, not meeting my eyes. "We'll find you a placement." They didn't. Not right away. Medical foster homes were at capacity. So I went to a group home, 16 beds, 2 bathrooms, rules posted on every wall. The insulin they gave me was generic. The fridge locked so kids wouldn't steal food. I learned fast. Test strips are gold, low blood sugar wakes you better than any alarm, and nobody cares if you cry in the shower because the water drowns it out. I hated them. God, I hated them. Not just for the abandonment. That was cruel enough, but for the lie. 8 years of, "You're our daughter forever." And it turns out forever had a price tag. Diabetes wasn't even that expensive at first. Pens, a pump maybe down the line. But they saw a burden, not a kid. A line item they could erase. Nights were the worst. Lying on a thin mattress listening to other girls whisper about running away or worse. I'd think about calling them, begging, yelling something. But what would I say? Take me back and pretend I don't need shots 4 times a day? No. They chose. I stopped being theirs the moment they signed. School became my escape. I was a junior, good grades because books didn't leave you. Teachers noticed I was quieter, thinner. One, Ms. Rivera, English, pulled me aside after class. "You okay, Mia?" I shrugged. She didn't push, just slipped me a granola bar and said, "My door's always open." Small kindnesses like that kept me from shattering. Denise found me a medical foster placement eventually. A retired nurse named Gloria who took in hard cases for the stipend. She was gruff but fair. Taught me how to rotate injection sites, cooked real meals, let me cry in her kitchen when the resentment boiled over. "People are cowards, baby," she said once, stirring soup. "Don't let theirs define you." I didn't see Karen and Mark again. Heard through the grapevine they moved to a bigger house, had a bio kid 2 years later. Posted family photos on Facebook, smiling, perfect. No trace of me. Like I'd been a trial run. At 17, I started planning emancipation. Worked weekends at a coffee shop. Cashed tips for glucometer strips. Saved every penny in an account they couldn't touch. Denise helped with the paperwork. Judge granted it 6 months before 18. Freedom tasted like terror and coffee grounds. I aged out officially at 18. Couch surfing with Gloria's blessing, double shifts, community college applications with every scholarship for foster kids I could find. Diabetes tried to slow me. Hospital stays for highs I couldn't afford to treat right. But I learned. Adapted. Survived. People say forgiveness heals. Maybe for some. For me, anger was fuel. Every injection, every finger prick, every carb count reminded me. They quit. I didn't. I wasn't their daughter anymore. I was Mia, diabetic, abandoned, stubborn as hell. And I was just getting started. The system failed me twice, first giving me hope, then snatching it. Adoptive parents aren't saviors. Sometimes they're just people who change their minds when it's inconvenient. Chronic illness doesn't make you unlovable. It just shows who was never really loving you to begin with. If you're a foster kid reading this, scared of the next placement, the next diagnosis, hold on. The world is bigger than the people who leave. And someday, you'll build a life they couldn't imagine, stronger, sweeter yours. Because the ones who stay, the Glorias, the Ms. Riveras, they're the real family. Chosen, not obligated. And chosen is always stronger. The morning I turned 18, the group home threw me a party. A store-bought sheet cake with "Happy Birthday Mia" in wobbly icing and a card signed by staff who barely knew my last name. Gloria, my foster mom, showed up with a real gift. A duffel bag, new, not the state-issued plastic one, and a prepaid phone with $50 credit. "You're out now, baby," she said, hugging me tight. "System's done with you. Don't let it be done with you." Aging out felt less like freedom and more like falling off a cliff with no net. No more monthly checks for Gloria, no more locked fridge, no more curfew. Just me, a high school diploma earned through night classes, a chronic illness that didn't care about milestones, and $800 saved from coffee shop tips. Denise, my old social worker, handed me a folder of transition resources. Food stamps application, low-income housing waitlist 2 years long, a pamphlet on community college. "You've got this," she said. I believed her about as much as I believed Karen and Mark's forever promises. I crashed with Gloria for a few weeks while she bent rules she wasn't supposed to bend. Then I found a room in a rundown house shared with 5 other ex-fosters. Night shifts, loud music, ramen for dinner every night. Rent was $400. I got a job at a big box retail store, greeting customers with a smile that hurt, stocking shelves until my back screamed, dealing with Karens, real ones, who yelled over $2 coupons. Diabetes made it brutal. Lows at 2 a.m. mid-shift, sneaking glucose tabs in the bathroom, praying I didn't crash while running a register. The employee insurance was a joke. High deductible, no pump coverage. I rationed insulin like it was gold, reused lancets until they dulled. One hospital bill almost wiped me out. I paid it off $20 at a time. But retail taught me people. Kids dragging behind exhausted parents, melting down in aisles because blood sugar or life was too much. I'd slip them a candy from my pocket when no one looked. Remember being that kid in waiting rooms, scared and invisible. "It gets better," I'd whisper if I could. Lies sometimes, but hopeful ones. Nights, I'd collapse on my air mattress and study for nursing prerequisites on a library laptop. Why nursing? Spite mostly. Karen and Mark ditched me over medical costs, fine. I'd become the expert they were too scared to support. Plus, foster kids and sick kids overlap a lot. Neglected checkups, trauma in tiny bodies. I wanted to be the doctor who saw them, really saw them. Community college was a grind. Classes mornings, work afternoons, clinicals weekends. Financial aid covered tuition. Scholarships for former fosters paid books. I lived on coffee and determination. Professors noticed. "You've got fire, Mia." Classmates became friends. Real ones who shared notes and rides when my sugar tanked. One, Jamal, a single dad going for RN, spotted me testing in the hallway once. "T1D?" he asked. I nodded, braced for pity. Instead, "My daughter's got it. Want tips on cheap sites for supplies." We swapped war stories over vending machine snacks. Friendship without strings. I managed diabetes like a second job. Alarms at 3 a.m. for checks, carb counting every bite. ER visits I couldn't afford but survived anyway. Got my pump at 20. Won through a patient assistance program after months of paperwork. Life changed. No more 4 shots a day, better control. First time my A1C dropped below 7, I cried in the clinic bathroom. Victory tasted like stable glucose. Transferred to university at 21 for the BSN. Lived in a dorm. First time with my own room. Worked retail part-time, then hospital aide nights. Changing beds, holding hands of scared kids and peds. Those shifts broke and built me. A 6-year-old with new T1D diagnosis sobbing because shots hurt. I'd sit with her, show my pump. See this? It's like a robot friend that helps. You're tougher than you know. Her mom cried. I almost did. Graduated at 24. Top of my class, debt minimal thanks to grants and grinding. Passed NCLEX first try. Started as RN in pediatric endocrinology. The perfect fit. Kids with diabetes, cystic fibrosis. All the chronic stuff that scares parents stupid. I got it. Spoke their language. Fear, frustration, the rage at bodies that betray you young. Residency for pediatric specialist was hell. 80-hour weeks, crying in call rooms, but I thrived. Mentors saw potential. You've got empathy most docs lose by 30. Published research on trauma-informed care for chronically ill foster kids. How abandonment compounds health outcomes. Got grants, spoke at conferences. By 30, I was head of pediatric endo at a top children's hospital. Renown. Sounds fancy. Means parents fly their kids cross-country because Dr. Mia gets it. She won't judge if we're struggling. I wrote a book, not some self-help fluff, but raw. Unbreakable. Raising chronically ill kids without breaking them. Hit lists. TEDx talk went viral. Me on stage, no filter. Chronic illness doesn't make a child a burden. Fear does. Cowardice does. Standing ovation. Messages flooded from foster alumni, sick kids, parents who'd almost given up. Money followed, good salary, speaking gigs, royalties. Bought a house with a big kitchen for cooking low-carb feasts. Adopted a dog. Rescue mutt with 3 legs named Tripod. Traveled. Lived. Diabetes. Still there. Pump upgrades, CGMs, the occasional scare. But managed. Mastered. Karen and Mark saw their Christmas card once, forwarded by a mutual from high school. Perfect family, bio kids smiling. Good for them. I didn't feel much. Not hate anymore. Just distance. They chose easy. I chose hard and won. People ask if I forgive. Forgiveness isn't mandatory. They don't lose sleep. Why should I give them peace? Healing isn't excusing, it's outgrowing. My real family. The nurses who covered shifts when I crashed low. The kids who call me Dr. Mia and hug me after good A1CS. Jamal, now a nurse practitioner, and his daughter who babysits Tripod. Gloria, retired but still texting, proud of you, baby. From returned foster kid to renowned specialist. Sounds like a fairy tale. Wasn't. Was blood, literal finger pricks, sweat, retail floors, tears too many. But mine. If you're a sick kid in the system, scared no one will stick. They might not. But you can stick for yourself. Study hard. Work harder. Build the life they were too afraid to share. You'll save lives someday, including your own. And that's the best revenge. Thriving so loud they can't ignore it, but not needing them to hear. The TED Talk wasn't supposed to change everything. It was just me on a red circle stage, no notes, talking for 18 minutes about what it's like to be the kid nobody keeps. Unwanted twice, chronic illness and the foster system. I told the truth, no sugarcoating. How my adoptive parents returned me like a defective purchase when diabetes showed up on the bill. How I aged out, scraped through nursing school, and ended up specializing in peds endo because I never wanted another scared kid to feel disposable. The video dropped and exploded. Millions of views in weeks. Messages flooded my inbox. Foster alumni thanking me, parents of newly diagnosed kids asking advice, even a few adoptive parents admitting they'd almost made the same choice and were rethinking. I read them on my phone during night shifts, crying in the break room because someone finally heard. Then the email came. Subject: Mia, it's mom. I stared at it during rounds, heart slamming against my ribs like it did when I was 16 waiting for them to change their minds. Karen, the woman who'd signed away her rights with a shaky pen. I opened it in my office after shift, door locked, coffee gone cold. Mia, we saw your talk. We're so proud. You've become such a strong woman. We always knew you would. Mark's been having heart issues, tests, specialists, it's expensive. And I've got my own problems, thyroid, fatigue. We hate to ask, but if you could help, even a little. Family should support each other. We'd love to see you. Reconnect. No apology. No, we were wrong. Just pride, like they had anything to do with it. And a money ask wrapped in health scares. Classic. They ditch me over my medical costs, then crawl back when there's pile up, citing the exact excuse they used to abandon me. I forwarded it to Dr. Elena, my therapist, a no-nonsense Cuban woman who'd specialized in adoption trauma after her own messy family history. She called it trauma bonding via guilt trip. Said abusers resurface when you succeed because your light exposes their darkness. They don't want you, Mia. They want what you have. I didn't reply. Blocked the email. Felt strong for about 5 minutes. Then the others came, from new addresses, Mark's work email, even a fake LinkedIn. Longer ones. Photos attached. Old family pictures, me at 12 with braces and hope. We miss our daughter. God puts trials in our path to bring us closer. Your bio brother needs braces. Insurance doesn't cover. Escalating asks, $5,000 for tests, then $20,000 for surgery. I showed Gloria. She read one, snorted. Child, they smell money and success. Vultures don't change feathers. The stalking started subtle. A car I recognized, Mark's old sedan, parked outside the hospital a few times. I'd see it from the window during rounds, idling. Then Karen at the grocery store. Accidentally, in my aisle. Mia, what a surprise. Hug like nothing happened. I froze, then walked away. She followed, voice rising. We just want to talk. Security escorted her out. I filed a police report. First of many. It got worse. Anonymous calls to my office. Tell Dr. Ramirez her parents need her. Flowers delivered to my house with cards. Family forgives. Time to help. I changed my number, address unlisted, but they found ways, old mutual friends, public records from conference bios. One night, coming off a 36-hour call, I found them in my driveway. Karen crying, Mark angry. After everything we did for you, 8 years. You ignore us? We're struggling. I stood on my porch, phone recording, voice shaking but steady. You did nothing but quit when it got hard. Leave. Or I call the cops. They left. But not for good. Dr. Elena upped sessions to twice weekly. This isn't reconciliation, Mia. It's extortion dressed as family. We unpacked the rage. How their timing proved it was never about love. How health crises were convenient now that I could pay. She taught me boundaries aren't walls. They're doors I control. Mentors became my lifeline. Dr. Patel, my attending during residency, brilliant Indian woman who'd fought her way up in a male field, saw me spiraling, pulled me into her office. They're parasites, Mia. Feed them attention, they multiply. She connected me with a lawyer pro bono through the hospital network. Restraining order filed fast, evidence stacked. Emails, photos, witness statements from security. Hearing was short. Karen cried on the stand. She's our daughter. Judge wasn't moved. You terminated rights voluntarily. This harassment stops now. Order granted, no contact, 500 feet, third parties included. They violated it twice, more emails through cousins, a drive-by wellness check. Police warnings, then arrests looming. Silence finally stuck. Therapy dug deep. I grieved the parents I wished they'd been, raged at the ones they were. Dr. Elena said healing isn't forgiveness, it's integration. You carry the wound, but you don't let it steer. Chosen mentors filled the gaps. Gloria, retired now but my rock, flew in for the bad weeks, cooked Cuban food, reminded me. Family ain't blood. It's who stays when the storm hits. Dr. Patel mentored my career. Pushed for promotions, co-authored papers. Jamal and his daughter became weekend barbecue regulars. Colleagues covered shifts when nightmares hit. My patients' parents, grateful real, sent cards that meant more than any apology. I expanded the work. Founded a foundation for chronically ill foster kids, scholarships, medical advocacy, mentorship matching. Spoke more louder. Another book brewing. Karen and Mark, faded to ghosts. Last I heard through a distant mutual. Health crises, resolved without my money. Convenient. People ask if I wish they'd apologized for real. Nah, their actions spoke clear. I was an investment that tanked. My success? Threat and opportunity. Therapy taught me. I don't need their regret. I have mine, forever believing I was the problem. Chosen mentors showed me. Love is an obligation. It's presence. These days, my house is photos. Not of them, but of Gloria at my graduation, Dr. Patel at my promotion party. Kids I've treated grown healthy and happy. Tripod snores on the couch. My pump hums steady. I'm not broken. I'm remade, stronger at the cracks. If you're a kid returned, ditched for being too much, you're not. You're enough for the people who matter. Find them, build with them, and the ones who left, let them watch from afar as you shine. They don't get to dim what they couldn't carry.